Welcome everyone to our EB-5 project briefing for the Legacy Hotel and Residences in Miami. Today we are excited to have Dan Kodsi, the CEO of Royal Palm Companies, here to talk about both the inspiration for this building and the current buoyant state of the Miami market. My name is John Baker, and I'm the Chief Marketing Officer at LCR Capital Partners. Before we begin, a couple housekeeping points. We are recording this webinar and we'll be making it available on our site afterwards for people that register with us and are interested in learning more about the project. Second, if you have questions, please use, if you look at your Zoom software, there's a Q&A button. That's the best way to ask questions of us during this webinar, rather than the chat function, because it's a little bit harder for us to manage that. So again, if you could use the Q&A button, we'll answer those questions. We're intending to reserve 15 minutes at the end to take questions. Now, today we are going to talk about the Legacy Hotel and Residences in Miami. We're also going to talk a bit about the Miami market, in particular also how it's reacting in this time of the pandemic. We'll also take a little bit and talk about why Legacy will be successful, why we're confident in this project, and we'll go through the Legacy EB-5 project in more detail. And as I said, take some time for Q&A. Now, let me introduce the team. Sherman, would you like to go?
Sure. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the webinar on Legacy. We're very excited to have you today. My name's Sherman Baldwin. I'm the Chief Executive Officer of LCR Capital Partners. Just a little bit about me. I started my career in the U.S. Navy. I was a carrier pilot for about 8 years, then went to Harvard Business School, met our founder, Suresh Rajan there. And Suresh and I both worked at McKinsey and Company together. I then worked in private equity and at Accenture for 14 years and joined LCR about 3 years ago, became the CEO about 1.5 years ago, and very excited to be here with you today.
Dan?
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Dan Kodsi. I'm the CEO of Royal Palm Companies. I have extensive background, over 30 years of development. Actually grew up in the development business, developed close to over $3 billion in development project, over 10 million square feet. We've done a variety of different projects. Of course, some of our key projects are mixed use urban developments. We built virtually every city in Florida, whether it be Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. And this is actually our third tower now in Miami. And so we have a big presence here in Miami. Our office is based in Miami. We were one of the lead developers of Miami World Center, which I'm going to talk more about as we get into it. Miami World Center is a 27-acre mixed-use development here in downtown Miami. It's a game changer for the city of Miami. We finished the Paramount Tower in the Super Block, which is a 120,000 square feet of retail, which was the first phase of Miami World Center, a parking garage. And then the Paramount Tower, which was a 60-story tower, a residential tower, which is completed and virtually sold out. And then we have the Legacy Tower, which we're going to be talking about today, which is the second phase that we're building within Miami World Center. And so we have a lot of exciting details to share with you.
Fantastic. Thank you. Andres, could you introduce yourself?
Yes, good morning, everyone. My name is Valdivieso, and I am the International Business Director for Royal Palm Companies. I've been with the company for about 4 years now, and I've been handling everything that is related into the project itself, the previous project, which was Paramount in terms of the EB-5, and Legacy as well. Good to mention that, I am that link, between, the project itself and also, pretty much, the phase of what we do regarding that EB-5 practice. A little bit about the background, besides the handling the EB-5 practice on the project side, I'm also part of the private offering that we have for international clients that is also related to the investment part of the company.
Fantastic. Now, before we go, I do need to make one quick and important disclaimer. The EB-5 visa is based on investment. I think everyone on this webinar recognizes that. But this marketing presentation doesn't constitute an offer to sell securities. If you're interested in seeing product investment documents, we ask you to contact LCR directly so that we can confirm you're an accredited investor or the equivalent in your market. We can also then focus the conversation on your individual or family needs and make sure that this project is the right one for you. So diving in, Dan, if you could take us through the Legacy Hotel and Residence and show us some of the design approach you are intending, it'd be fantastic.
Great, great. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump to the next slide so we can talk about it. And so Legacy was really what we did with Legacy. When we looked at whether it's the Miami market, we looked at the hospitality market, we looked at trends and way people are going to live, people are going to vacation. Of course, COVID has created a lot of trends and you know how people are moving around. We've seen a big shift in population very recently. Migration to southern states has been significant. Of course, the state of Florida has been a great seen significant growth actually. Our housing has significantly grown, and we'll get into some more stats later about what's happened in the housing market, what's happening in the hospitality market. But just to dive into Legacy, Legacy really was a combination of luxury, lifestyle, and wellness. And so why luxury, lifestyle, and wellness? Well, I'm going to show you some interesting stats after I present the project of how we got to the point of why we would combine these three different major trends in both residential and in hospitality and in medical wellness, well-being, and preventive healthcare. These are some of the largest growth. And when I talk about growth, every single these three words over here, luxury, lifestyle, and wellness, have significant growth in the markets. And so we're going to really delve into each one, why they grow, and why Legacy was created based on these very strong fundamentals in the market. And so Legacy is a mixed-use project. It has 310 residential units. We're going to talk about the status of residential units, which we've done very well with, and 219 hotel rooms. And so it's a mixed-use component, also with the wellness center. And on the next diagram, we're going to dig in a little of that. But what you can see the Legacy Tower just on this slide first is it's a very iconic tower. Similar to the Paramount, similar to the Paramount Bay, our two other towers here in Miami. We design and we build towers that outperform the market, that are iconic in the city of Miami, that create really enhance the skyline of Miami, but then also really blend into the Miami, what happens on the ground, what happens within the Miami market, and how it combines with everything, which again we will dig into. And so the mixed-use nature of Legacy, and so this is what makes this project not only interesting, not only that it creates this incredible ecosystem where we're blending all these different uses, but even from an investment standpoint, what we do is we offset risk. We offset risk by pre-selling residences, and in the state of Florida, there's no limit of what deposits you could take, and in Miami, we actually take very large deposits, between 40 to 50% deposits from buyers. And so the residential component, since we've been doing that, and that was since the recession here in the United States, back in 2011, 2012, as we started the new development cycle, it was set that we would never want to go through what we went through in the past. And so we asked for very, very large deposits. And since then, and we've been involved, as you well know, through a lot of projects, we've never had anyone default and not close on a unit, because who would walk away from a 50% deposit? And so it makes for a very strong residential component, which really offsets the risk when you start looking at hospitality. And then, of course, office. How do you offset the risk of office? Well, the way you offset the risk of office, and this is medical office, is by pre-leasing. And so we have a major tenant. We're going to be pre-leasing over 75% of the office with a major credit-worthy tenant. Credit-worthy tenants is a $6 billion tenant out of California. They're heavily into preventive healthcare. We're going to talk a little bit more about them as well. And so again, offsetting risk is crucial. And so we wanted to show you this diagram that we do offset risk by pre-selling the residence, pre-leasing the office space, and in essence taking out all the risk and giving the safety within the capital stack. And so Legacy, we'll talk a little bit about the fun part of Legacy, and then we'll delve back into the business side of it. But what makes it fun, and I say fun, is because it's a really interesting project and really something that Miami is missing. And so it was built on these four component we call the X4. And that is of course, the Center for Health and Performance, which is going to be one of the most advanced health centers in the country, not just in Florida, but literally in the country. And we're going to talk about the groups that we're working with. Then we have the rooftop atrium. This is a iconic space in the city of Miami. Nothing like this exists. This is something you'll find in places like Singapore or Dubai, but in the U.S., no one tends to do these really great spaces that not only attract people from the current market, but it drives hotel revenue and stays because people want to be part of this environment. But then when you're also having fun today in the market, we call what's called bleisure, and it's a combination of business and leisure travelers. And the business leisure traveler today, and we're all bleisure travelers. So today with our iPhones and our laptops, wherever we go, we find ourselves on the computer, returning emails, making a couple of conference calls, and then find ourselves later at the pool with our family or loved ones and so forth. And even at the pool, sometimes you got your phone and you can answer some emails and really start blurring the lines. And that's why bleisure was created, is to blur the lines. And so for that matter, we created the International Business Lounge. And that is for the traveler that comes to Miami. They can have fun at the Legacy, but at the same time, they want to do business in Miami. That is really unique international business lounge. And then the last component is the Microlux residence. Our Microlux, this is both Legacy and Microlux are trademarked terms. Microlux is this new residential concept. It's based on the growth of the Airbnb and the market demand for people that want to come to a market. And so we've all seen the growth in Airbnb and those types of digital platforms. And so people want to go into these digital platforms. They want to rent, but what they found was, and what we found in a lot of studies, was that people were going to markets and they ended up in either somebody else's home or someone else's condo, and they had no amenities and they had no concierge service and no room service and no social environment within the building or within the neighborhood that they were in. And so it really didn't feel like a vacation. Just a story, I'll give you a 30-second story on happened to us, is that we did that one time. We were in an apartment and my wife started yelling at all of us, basically saying, I'm in somebody else's kitchen, and I'm cooking, and this doesn't feel like a vacation. And so why the heck are we staying here when we can stay we can afford to stay in a nice resort and not have to deal with that? And so really what it is the Microlux residence combines the demand for this residential rental combined with a hotel and wellness experience. And so let's delve into the Center for Health and Performance. And so the Center for Health Performance is going to be leased, as I mentioned to you. It's 120,000 square foot lease that we have signed with Adventist Health. Adventist Health is a major hospital group out of California. They have 88 hospitals in California. I think they're the third largest. They're a $6 billion company. They bought a company what's called Blue Zone. What is Blue Zone? Blue Zone, in the early 2000s, the National Geographics went around the world and they studied different social groups within the world. They went to different parts of Italy and Costa Rica and through the Asian markets and even parts of the United States. And what they did is they looked for areas where people on a per capita basis were living over 100. Why were they living over 100 years old? And we all know longevity. I don't think there's one person right now on this video that's not thinking, well, I'd love to live a longer, more healthy life. That appeals, I think, to just about every human being. And so what they did is they determined, why these people live. And it's more than just diet. It's everything from how people socialize and how they live their life. They have what's called nudges, meaning what's a nudge? A nudge is, today they say sitting is the new smoking. People are sitting too much. And so you need things to nudge you, to make you get up every hour and do something, move around. And so it's a full program. And Adventist Health owns Blue Zone. They're the parent company. And together with Blue Zone, they really want to get into the preventive healthcare business. And so we're going to show you a couple of images. It's going to be one of the most advanced healthcare, healthcare wellness centers in the country. So as you can see, just by some of the renderings, you can see the technology. We have a major group out of New York called Cactus. This is a group that did all the technology for the Mount Sinai Hospital in New York City, which is one of the most advanced technological hospitals up in New York City. And so now we're taking what they've done and their history into a new level of actually being able to do really in-depth diagnostics. The technology makes it easier, faster. It's not your typical, I'm going to go to my doctor and get a checkup. I'm going to get a full body scan of everything happening in my body, what my blood levels look like, what my and again, I'm not a medical person, so I may be speaking a little out of line on this one, but it's pretty in depth. And I went to Mount Sinai in New York, and they've taken blood tests and agility tests and balance tests, and then what happens at the end is you get a lot of advice of how you can manage that. And actually, think about if you're a major sports athlete, you can come in here and increase your agility and increase your ability. So there's just so many components. We actually have 2 or 3 athletes that want to get behind this center and be part of it, and talk about how they can improve their abilities to be athletic. And so this is a really interesting room. This is what we call the reveal room. And so after you do about 1.5 hours to 2 hours of testing, you actually would sit in this room, and this would be everything about your body, everything about your heart rate and your blood tests, and like I said, agility and so forth. And so the reveal room tells you everything, and then you sit with a life coach, and then life coach follows you for forever. You can do telecalls with them today, of course, as we're doing a Zoom call. It's not any different, where you could be in touch with your life coach. And what it does is it really creates what's important for the hotel and the rentals of the residents and so forth. It creates this repeat business, people that will come back to the center, want to be retested, be part of this whole wellness concept. And so that was really, one of the main drivers. It's also a business within a business. When I'm talking back about the health center. And so that makes it a very unique attraction for the project. But what we did is we really also wanted to take it a step further. The hotel is just a standalone with the hotel and the Microlux residences and all the amenities that both owners and people renting Microlux residence and of course hotel guests can enjoy. And so we started looking at what are the spaces, spaces as event spaces, lounges, entertainment spaces. This is Miami. It's very important to have great entertainment spaces. And so we came up with this very unique space, which I mentioned earlier, the rooftop atrium lounge. You can click to the next slide. And so this is a lounge. By the way, the building to the right, that is an actual, that one on the left, of course, is a rendering of a Legacy, and that's not a real picture, but the one on the right is an actual picture of the Paramount Miami World Center, which is a tower we just completed at the end of 2019. So it was completed a little over a year ago. And the Legacy, which is directly adjacent to the Paramount, you can see now the top. This is a 5-story glass atrium, a very unique space. It has a cantilevered pool with beautiful views of downtown Miami and the ocean behind it. So this is a very unique space that'll become not only attraction for people within Miami to come to the space, but imagine everyone that stays in the hotel. This is one of those spaces, and I should probably let me digress for a second about our hotel management group, because I think that's also important as we talk about these spaces. It's not only the spaces, but how do we how do we initiate great energy in these spaces. And so to energize these spaces, we have our hotel management group. We have what's called a Morgan's Hotel, which is Morgan's Hotel is one of the top lifestyle hotel brands in the country, possibly in the world. SBE, who manages Morgan's Hotels and was currently owned by Accor, which is the 4th largest hotel group in the world. SBE has 10 locations. If you've been to Miami, some of the most famous hotels, the Delano, the SLS, the Shore Club, these are very, very famous, worldwide famous hotels in Miami, are run by SBE. So they have the heartbeat of what lifestyle hotels are, what food and beverage, the demand for what types of food and beverage lounges and entertainment spaces people would expect. And so this is a 5-story lounge. Let's go ahead and next slide. You can see the interior lounge. This is beautiful space. You could use it both for events, and then you can open it up for a lounge later. That's the view. I mean, you can just see this view is just magnificent of downtown Miami at night. The city lights up. So it's a great space. And what's good about it, by covering it, Miami has, a few months of heat. Sometimes it's windy, and what's great about being a covered space is 24/7. The space could be open. You can have a coffee. You could go to the lounge till 4 or 5 in the morning, or if you're an early bird, you can come here at 7 in the morning and have a cup of coffee and some croissants and look at the beautiful views. There's just another close-up. And so, as we discussed earlier, business is important. People come to Miami to do business, and we talked about the leisure traveler as well. And so what doesn't exist in the city of Miami is a great business lounge where not only people in the hotel, but also even locals within Miami would come here. We'd have a membership program. And so, you know, this membership program would allow people within Miami to come in, and of course, guests that go to the concierge level, which they pay extra, would have access to this international business lounge. And here's some images. It would come right off the glass elevators from the lobby. We walk into the lounge, and this is, you know, this is a place where, you know, this is where business gets done. We have interior spaces. We have the library. We also have a bar. So at night you can meet someone for business, for a cocktail. So really great space to do business. This is not a WeWork type space where you're coming in with your laptop and doing work. This is a place to socialize, to meet people. This is a place where deals, we say it's basically, this is where deals get closed. So this is where you're coming to meet with people and you know, and think of, we also have over 20,000 square feet of conference space in this building. And so we all know that, you know, we've all been to conferences where you want to have sidebar meetings. So the International Business Lounge is going to be crucial to when we have business meetings. And again, that's a major driver again for the hotel and the Microlux residents, because you know, having that group business traveler on a Monday night or a Tuesday night or even a Sunday night where people are coming into Miami in the quieter times, and being always able to fill rooms and you know, create high occupancies and of course high average daily rates. And then the Microlux Resident, this was a unique product. The reason we trademarked it is because no one's ever done this before. I don't want to steal Andre's thunder, but he'll tell you our current status on sales, and I don't want to say where we are because then I'll ruin it for him. But we have sold these at a significant pace. The demand for this product was significant, and it's because it's a place that you can own. It's a place that could be a crash pad in the city of Miami. It's a place that you can spend time in. It's a place that you can spend time and then rent it so you can offset all your carrying costs. Or it's a place you just want to buy as an investment and put it into the rental pool to drive income and own this incredible piece of real estate in the city of Miami, right in the center of it all. And so what's unique about the Microlux Resident is this is a 486 square foot resident. And what we did is we brought in everything. I mean, you can see there's a king size bed. There's a large sofa that if you had children or even adults that can sleep on, so you could sleep up to 4. It has a full kitchen. It has full size refrigerator, 4-top cooktop, washer and dryer, table that seats 4. It has a desk. So if you want to do business, you have a desk, you have an outdoor balcony, you have a makeup counter, you have a double vanity, private commode, and then a large shower. So imagine all this in 486 square feet. If you go to the next slide, it doesn't feel crowded, and it's very well appointed. And so it's Microlux, meaning it's a micro unit, but it's well appointed. It's got, you know, great circulation space, and it feels very comfortable and a really comfortable space for people to spend time. And if you're coming for a week or a couple of weeks, or again, if you wanted to buy one and own one, this is a great place to come spend time in Miami. Here's just some more images that see some of the finishes with the bathrooms, bedrooms. This is a great image. This shows you how in a very small tight space, we fit a full-size refrigerator, dishwasher, microwave, 4-top cooktop, sink, washer and dryer. All of this fits in this very unique small space. So it's incredible what we could do in these small spaces. And by making it a full kitchen, it becomes a resident. Meaning when a purchaser is buying it, when they put up their 40 or 50% deposit, they can get a mortgage because they're buying a home. It's not a condo hotel, or it's not any type of commercial product. It is a pure residential product. This is a very unique, it's a 2-story, and you know, in the building where the pieces were popping out, we did this 2-story loft product. These sold phenomenally. And the last piece is, as we talked about, lifestyle was important, and I'm going to dig into some of the reasons why right after this. But just go to the next slide, and you can see, we have four pool experiences within the project. And so some of the buildings, if you've been to Miami, if you go stay at the JW Marriott, if you go stay even at the Four Seasons, you feel like you're in a business hotel. What downtown Miami's missing, believe it or not, in all of Miami and everything. Again, I'm going to talk a little bit about Miami. I don't know how much you know about Miami. And again, I'm trying to stay within a certain time limit because I can talk a long time about Miami. I do a lot of public speaking and speeches on Miami, both on national TV and in conferences. But Miami right now is a very, very hot city. The hospitality market is on fire. The food and beverage market. I mean, every major restaurant group's coming to Miami. We are the only one through COVID that had an increase in average daily rate and occupancy from the year prior. That's how hot Miami was. Of course, the state of Florida had a very more lenient COVID restrictions. Whether you're for that or against it, it was good for Miami business. But you can see this will be the only, you can see 4 pool experiences here within Legacy. So again, we're attracting that leisure traveler, we're attracting that business traveler, we're attracting the wellness traveler. So we're catering to all these different markets. And that's the resort pool. It's just a beautiful finish, this beautiful pool. And so let's talk about why. So we gave you the results of these market studies, but let's talk about why we designed this project and how we got to this point. And so first off, Miami Legacy is in Miami World Center. I mentioned Miami World Center. This is a 27-acre mixed-use development. You can see the Paramount, which was the signature tower, Miami World Center, which is currently built with the super block. We're going to have 5 blocks of, we closed off streets. We have 5 blocks of pedestrian retail within Miami World Center, which is called the World Promenade. We have the 7th Street Promenade. We have World Square, which is a big, huge plaza with restaurants and major outlet stores, not outlet stores rather, but major stores. These are national brands that are coming in. And then eventually there'll be a Marriott Marquis Convention Center. So this is going to be the new center of Miami. You also have the American Airlines Arena. You have the Performing Arts Center. If you look up at the top of the page, you have South Beach, which is literally 7 minutes away. If you go the other way on the highway, you see to the left, you have the Miami International Airport, which is less than 10 minutes away. So you're really in the center of it all. And again, if you know Miami, you have Brickell to the south, you have Wynwood just a couple of minutes to the north, you have Midtown, and you have Design District. So all the new venues, restaurants, shops, malls, everything in Miami is built around here. So imagine being in between that in the city of Miami. And then if you look, you see the Port of Miami. This is the largest port terminal in the world. So the largest port terminal in the world. And if you look at the bottom of the page, you see the Virgin Miami Central. This is a train station that connects all the major cities in Florida. And in about a year and a half is going to connect Disney World. So in essence, this hotel is going to be between the largest cruise terminal in the world and access to Disney World. And so you can see urban tourism is up 74%. So just people coming to downtown Miami, went from 3.1 million to 5.4 million people in the past 7 years. So you can see the numbers, and that's without even having a luxury lifestyle hotel in Miami. They're just going to the business hotel. So imagine the demand that's for these luxury lifestyle. Today, you only find those on the beach. So Miami's ranked number 4 in the U.S. And this was actually an older stat. I think right now we've been pushed up to number 2. In highest ADR because of what the Miami market's been performing so well through COVID, and then high occupancy. And again, mention why we have high occupancy. There was times within February, March, and April you couldn't get a hotel room in Miami. Just everything was 100% occupied. And so also major transportation. So we talked about that, the access to highways, the metro rail, metro station, so you can access any part of the city if you want to go to Brickell, if you want to go to Edgewater, Wynwood, and so forth. And so let's dig into why, now we talked about the what, now let's talk about the why, why we ended up here. And so it was based on these 4 fundamentals, the growth of luxury travel, the growth of lifestyle travel and lifestyle hotels, the demand for wellness and medical tourism, and then the rise in vacation rentals. And so, luxury tourism is on the rise. I mean, we all know, we've seen it. We've seen that, we see luxury hotels is on the rise. And so, there's a huge, main reason, huge transfer of wealth. Not only the huge transfer of wealth here in the U.S., especially the millennial population now has got to their higher earning years. They're in their 30s, they're in their 40s. And so they're starting to really, get to higher earning years. So they have wealth. Also, this is the largest transfer of wealth in the history of the world that's happening over the next 10 to 15 years. And so this transfer of wealth is creating demand for not just luxury travel, but all luxury items. Look at lifestyle hotels. This is, when the average hotel grows only at 2%, lifestyle hotels grow at 8%. So they grow at 4 times the amount. And mostly because people are looking, 76% of people want experience today when they travel. It's not in the old days where you just go to a hotel for a place to lodge. It's a place where you want a full experience. Culinary, of course, is a big part of that experience. And then the demand for medical tourism and wellness. Places that don't have maybe a third or a 10 or 20% of what we have find that, we found that they had 20% higher ADRs than their competitors in the market if they had a wellness component. So wellness component, the increase in medical tourism is significant. And so you do get a bump in ADRs. ADRs are average daily rates. That's where you get to charge in a hotel rate. And so it's proven, this is a proven statistic. And so having a medical and wellness component is going to be crucial to the viability of the project. And it's going to push numbers up significantly higher than any of our competitors, because nobody has anything like this in the market. This is going to be unique to the Miami market. And as we talked about the rise in vacation rentals, look at laundry access, 69%. People, sometimes they come for a week. Do you really want to pack clothes for a whole week, or do you want to pack clothes for 2 or 3 days and then have a laundry access so you can wash your clothes? And so it's just, these are little important things. People sometimes after the third day, they're tired of eating out, eating out in restaurants, and they just want to grab some food or maybe cook something. We're going to have a market within the tower, and you might want to just buy a couple of things and make yourself some food yourself within the kitchen in the Microlux residence. So kitchens and eating in and so forth are part of the vacation process. And so that was what was important when you look at the Microlux residences. We looked at advantages of hotels and disadvantages. And disadvantages, of course, is not having facilities like washer and dryer, and hotels don't cater to medium stays and long-term stays. As we mentioned earlier, the vacation rentals lack the amenities, the restaurants, the inconsistent check-ins. They're illegal in some cities and sometimes managed by an owner. So it's not a professional experience, and that's what people are looking for. I don't know if this one, I think goes.
So we're going to turn now to Andres.
Oh, you're going to turn to Andres. So
right.
Okay. So just to do a wrap up, so then we can turn over to Andres. And so just to wrap this up, we gave you a lot of information on the project, why the success of the project. Andres now is going to give us an update on the current status of the project. And again, there's just a lot of exciting things happening on the project. We're about to break ground, but I don't want to, like I said, I want to give Andres a chance to tell you where the status of the project is. And I will be here if there's any questions. I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. So thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation.
Andres?
Thank you so much, Dan, and thanks everyone. So now I'm just going to talk really quick about the success that we have had with Legacy and our previous project, which was Paramount. At Paramount, which is the 569 units, it was where we started the first offering on the EB-5 side, and we were extremely successful by allocating 200 visas, 200 EB-5 visas. We did a capital raise of $100 million, and about 29 different countries were part of the investor community in that specific project. Good thing to add, out of those 200 visas, we have about more than 50% who are actually in conditional status right now. And there's a few more that are actually, getting the permanent residency as we speak. So again, it was very interesting because when we started, it was like a pilot program, and we ended up being an extremely successful EB-5 practice in the US. Like I said, more than 29 countries joined the investor community that were part of Paramount, and that what you see now, it's a trend that is actually being moved to legacy, where right now we are happy to announce that the project is 100% sold. It's actually a record because we instead when we did it at Paramount, as we developed the project, all the visas were actually coming in. In this particular case, we haven't even started construction. We will start construction about 45 days from now, and all of our pre-sales are pretty much done. We actually announced publicly that the project has been 100% sold. So a couple of things to consider. It's one of the few projects that have been sold out before starting construction. Our construction should be starting in about 45 days from now. Here we also had about, I will say, between 25 to 30 different countries who actually bought units at the actual building. And right now, we're also happy to announce that the land we have closed on, and that we also wrapped up already the hotel operation with SPE, which is going to be the hotel operator for the hospitality part of the building. And we also are pretty much closing the negotiation. We already have an LOI, a letter of intent, in place with a medical provider that is going to be taking care of all the medical part that we have in the bottom part of the building. They have that LOI signed, and it's a minimum lease of about 10 years. So the future of the building, it's extremely healthy. Once again, it's one of the few projects that have been sold down before actually breaking ground. We are 45 days away from that process getting started. So this is a very interesting concept because we actually evolved, I would say, because of the track record that we built through Paramount in terms of development and in terms of EB-5. This has been a very interesting process because right now we took it to the next level. And it's one of a kind project, like Dan mentioned, and it's literally across the street from our previous project, which is Paramount Miami World Center, also part of it as well.
Thank you, Andres. Sherman, would you like to talk through the EB-5 investment specifics?
Sure. Thank you, Andres. Thanks, John. So just to quickly reiterate some of the great information that Dan and Andres shared. From LCR's perspective, as the co-manager of the EB-5 fund, we do a lot of due diligence on the developers that we work with. And Dan and his team have just nailed the design of this legacy project. It's world-class contemporary design. The micro-lux concept that RPC has trademarked, we think is exactly what the market needs. It's taking advantage of the trends that Dan highlighted, and it's exactly, and that's why, as Andre shared, it is sold out already before they could even set up a sales gallery or an architectural model of the building. It's just exactly the right thing at the right time in this dynamic market. The diversified sources of revenue is also very appealing to us as investors. We think the way that Dan and the team have thought through that and designed a building that is going to drive revenue from lots of different mixed-use components is very compelling. Dan's track record. I mean, when I first met Dan, he talked about sweeping floors in a development that his father and uncles had built in Florida. Dan's been in the Florida market for 40 years, has developed $3.5 billion of quality real estate assets. LCR believes in the Florida market, and specifically the Miami market. We've invested here before with our EB-5 investors, and the track record and the market itself, the location is outstanding, as Dan shared with you. So these are the primary things supporting our investor thesis, if you will, and why legacy and why it's a strong EB-5 project. Equally as strong is the team that has come together and been formed by RPC and LCR to create the EB-5 documentation the EB-5 fund and as it's part of the capital stack. RPC is led by Dan Kodsi, and you've heard from him directly. I lead LCR. We've pulled in Baker Tilly for the economic analysis as a leading accounting firm. Saul Ewing Arnstein and Lair is a leading law firm that has done all the offering and loan documentation. JTC Americas, formerly NES Financial, is the leading fund administrator, and Signature Bank is the leading bank in the EB-5 industry. So, this really is an all-star team. The total capitalization, we'll talk a little bit more about that going forward, is $427 million. And the EB-5 investment per investor is a $900,000 investment with an admin fee of $60,000, which is fairly standard across the industry. And the target term is 5 years, and the investment return 50 basis points. Those are all very typical. The key thing from an EB-5 perspective is for each investor to create 10 American jobs. And we've done all the analysis on this. And, for this project, the requirement for EB-5 and for USCIS is to create 840 jobs. And as you'll see, the project estimate is to create over 4,000 jobs. So it's really a 5x cushion in terms of what EB-5 investors need to do to qualify under the EB-5 program to get your green card. And here's the overall capital stack. EB-5, is a meaningful but a relatively small part of the capital stack. At LCR, that's how we like to structure things. Obviously, we worked on this with RPC, and they've had a successful track record already with EB-5, which attracted us to work with them. And the 17+% part of the capital stack we think is right and appropriate, and we're very confident in our ability to raise that capital. And lastly, just highlighting other impressive developments that RPC has done. I want to emphasize again that Dan's passion for the business, his passion for this project is you can hear it in his voice, you can see it in the way he does business, and we're very confident that Legacy is simply the next chapter of RPC's success story developing in Florida, and we're very excited to be a part of it. So with that, John, I'll turn it back to you for some Q&A.
Yes, thank you, Sherman. So first of all, we've got a few questions that have come through the Q&A button on the software. Please, if you have other things that are questions for you, ask them there, and we will answer them. One question, Dan, looking at the capital stack that Sherman just went through, obviously the construction loan is a real important part of the funding. Can you give us an update on that loan? If
Sure.
you can share.
So what's great is we had 4 lenders. I have to say, during COVID, everybody was a little, the lenders were reluctant. I think all of us were reluctant on business. And what was interesting was I made a prediction during COVID that, there's a lot of capital on the side, and they're going to be looking for great projects. And so what we did during COVID is we pushed forward, and as you can see, we sold out all our condos. And by the way, what Andres, I don't know if he pointed out, was that not only did we sell all these condos, it was over 310 residences, but we sold most of them through Zoom. This was done during shelter in place. This was when people were at home, literally buying condos through Zoom. So that's also very unique. What we also did is we plunged forward. We invested millions and millions of dollars in architectural and structural engineer and MEPs and permits and everything. And we've got this project set up because we knew when the market was going to recover and the vaccine was going to come out, there was going to be a lot of capital. And so the good news is we had 4 lenders interested. I'll announce it. About 2 weeks ago, we finally signed a term sheet with Silverstein Properties, with their lending division. They're a major, Silverstein, if you know, they're a company that owns the World Trade Center in New York City, major company with a major large lending division. And what's interesting is we have a signed term sheet with them. It's going to be one of the largest loans in the state of Florida. It's going to be a $320 million loan. We're currently in the process of closing that loan. We expect to have it closed probably in the next 60 to 90 days. And so that's going to be interesting. And then, we have some preferred equity as well. And what's good about that, and what, from a safety standpoint, is that, when you're investing with a company like ours, we work with some of the largest institutional lenders in the world. And what that means for an investor coming into these types of projects, and I'm sure there's other EB-5 opportunities, but what you're coming in is there's strength in numbers. And what that means is when you're investing side by side with these large institutions, the level of underwriting and due diligence and what they do for these projects. In other words, an institutional lender is going to give us $320 million. They're going to scrutinize this project inside out. They're going to review every lease. They're going to review every contract. They're going to review every document in this. And so it's for the EB-5 investors great for them because they get, in essence, that free due diligence by these lenders to know that the project is safe, the project has everything in place, all the permits are in place, and has been verified by major consulting groups that work for the lender, and again, all these institutional lenders. So the good news is the deal's ready to go. We do have some, of course, capital slot left for the EB-5 investor, but all the rest of the capital stack is in place.
Excellent. That gives security, and that the project will definitely go forward. Sherman, the location is close to downtown Miami. We saw through Dan's presentation the proximity to Brickell and some of the other developments. Is the TEA a simple one? Is there security that it will be in a target employment area and thus be a $900,000 project?
Yes, it's what's called a contiguous TEA, and it is set up appropriately for a $900,000 EB-5 investment, and we have confidence in that.
And another one for you. There is an I-526 denial guarantee. The question is an I-829, what happens if the 829 is denied? Is there refund of capital?
Well, if you get to the big hurdle is to get to the I-526 approval. And you get to the I-526 approval, and as you saw, what then becomes the focus is the demonstrating the job creation. And the job creation in this project is far greater than, frankly, other projects that we've done in the past, with a 5x cushion of forecasted jobs to the required jobs. So, I think my best answer to that is that if you get your I-526 approved, you're virtually assured of the 829 being approved because of the job creation prospects of this project.
And of course, with the current processing times, you'd likely be at the end of the term of your loan.
Yes.
So Andres, obviously the pre-sales are strong. This question you might have may have already been answered. But where was Paramount's pre-sales at the same time? Can you talk a little bit about that, just in terms of how exceptional Legacy is?
So it was a very interesting project. Now, of course, it's a larger project in the fact that it was 569 units, against 310 units that we have at Legacy. But it's also good to consider that at Paramount, we had 58 different nationalities, on the purchase community. So in this case, we were close to 30, and it was extremely fast. So the pre-sales were also interesting. But, right by the end of the project, we were 96% sold. So we only had like the big units left. And in this particular case, since it was very, the thought process of this project in particular was very different, because of course he wanted to be appealing not only to Latin America, but to, every single market in the world. It just went, it flew off the shelf. It was very interesting. Like Dan was saying, we adapted in a way that I think is like one of those unique cases where people were actually buying apartments online, with just a virtual presentation, sending deposits. And I think that it all goes back to the track record of the developer. Again, the previous project, finished almost 12 months before, and that pushed, everything. Also, if you look at that from the EB-5 perspective, having 200 successful visa slots allocated, again, it just brings more. It solidifies, the whole structure and what we do, not only on the condo side, but also again, on the construction side as well.
And the team in terms of design, project management, construction, is it the same team as Paramount?
It's pretty much the same team. There's a couple of things that are different in terms of architecture. But for example, Dan, it's also part of every single process in terms of architecture, design, construction, and I think that that's what makes it one of a kind. I think that he wears many hats, and when you're involved in everything that has that is considered into the development of the project, it just makes it a lot more interesting because you think as a developer, but you also think as a buyer, you think as an investor. And I think that this, again, it just makes it one of a kind, not only as a selling tool, but also as, the quality of property that you're going to end up getting and the project that you're going to end up investing in.
I just want to add to that. I torture designers. I do architects and interior designers. I torture them. And at the end, they thank me because they say, wow, I've never designed anything this nice. And so, yeah, we want to have the most unique designs. Paramount was a testament to that. If anyone on this call or on this presentation we'd love to give you a tour of Paramount so you could see the quality and finishes of what we offer in our projects. And Legacy is even going to be one. And when we tell people we're going to step it up from Legacy, they say, how could you step it up from Paramount? That is a one of a kind, but Legacy is even going to be that much better.
If I could, John, if I could jump in and just add an observation. So I visited the site a few times, and the last time, I actually spent time with Andres and Dan in the Paramount Sales Gallery, which is a 2-floor, building, nearby, about, a half a block away from the Paramount building. And, it's a lovely space, and there's a beautiful architectural full scale, scale model of Paramount. And granted, they're different projects, but I think it just goes to show how Dan and the team have, just exactly nailed the market need, because, they're not going to build a sales gallery for Legacy. They don't need it. They've already, as they've said, they've sold out using Zoom and talking to people, and people have been buying off of what they see on the internet. And it just goes to hitting the trends exactly right. And it is very, very impressive.
Well, Dan, I liked hearing the story of torturing the interior designers and the architects. It actually reminds me of when people talk about Elon Musk. So when you get into the rocket business, we look forward to visiting at the International Space Station.
That one, I'm going to leave that one up to Elon Musk. I think he's got the head start on that one.
Sherman, back to the investment, a couple more investment questions. Let me just see here. I'm just going to read this. The investor can get an interest of 0.5 yearly or by quarter. It's yearly. Annually, yeah. Okay, and then let me just see. The investment term is 5 years?
5 years with 2 1-year extensions,
if needed, because of the delays in processing, right? And there's a question here, since the money is wired to the EB-5 NEC, I'm not exactly sure what the question is there, but if you'd like to take that up with us one-on-one, we can get you more detail on that. And in terms of 829s approved, obviously there's no 829s approved on this project at this point.
No, not yet. But as Andres was saying, there's over or close to 100, I think, in Paramount who are past their I-526 approval and then conditional green card status. And from LCR's perspective, right, I mean, they are separate projects, to be very clear. However, given that the team is the same and much of the supporting cast is the same, we view Legacy as, in effect, a second phase or a second round. And so we feel very positive about the positioning of the EB-5 investment. And that it'll have similar results as Paramount has had, which has been an excellent EB-5 investment.
Well, we're at the top of the hour. Let me just see if there's any other questions here to address. I guess we should talk to one question we get in general on these project briefings and from our investors that are considering the project, and it's about site visits and site travel. Andres, can you talk to the state of Miami in terms of, clearly Miami is open to travel and how site visits can be arranged?
That is correct. That is correct. Actually, yeah, the state is open for business, and that actually is something that pretty much boosted, everything on the real estate side as well, because now clients are flying in, they want to take a look, the project itself and everything, and so it's very important that we mentioned that we are open for business. We can actually schedule tours. I will be the point of contact on the RPC side, and we can, again, we can schedule everything through LCR as well. So I'll be more than happy to take care of all of you, once you're here in Miami. We can tour the building. So definitely, it's just a matter of scheduling it, and we are available.
Yes. And as Andres mentioned, all of you should have a contact within LCR, and if not, just reach out to myself or Sherman. If you're interested in investment documents and the PPM around this, we just need to ask a few questions. We have an activation form which allows you to self-certify that you're an accredited investor, and then we can share those investment details with you. And of course, also help arrange a site visit, or further, if you have further questions, access to the team here today or the team behind the project. So let me just close and remind everyone what you've heard today. This is obviously a signature development with exceptional amenities. And I think the pre-sales indicate how well it's timed and targeted to the current market. RPC has a long and successful track record. We've only just touched the surface of it with the 3 towers they've done in Miami. But if you visit their website and their marketing, you can see the full 40 years of experience that Dan and the team have had in building in the Florida market. This really is one of the few luxury projects, a true signature project that's in a TEA matching the regulations as defined in November of 2019. And it's a mixed use building with really diversified revenue sources. Thank you very much, everyone. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you have further questions. Thank you, Dan, Andres, Sherman. Fantastic presentation.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
Have a good day. Thank you.
Have a good day, everyone.
Cheers.
Bye-bye.